Rin from Hallowed Be Thy Game, and today I'm going to share with you my top 50 games of all time, numbers 50 through 41. Let's check it out. And at long last, it is that time for me to just gush about the games that have meant the most to me over the course of my entire gaming career. Now, I do want to preface that I'm not going to put any games on this list that I am still currently and actively playing. And as of right now, I'm playing Elden Ring, and I'm positive it would make it into this list. However, these are games that I have completed. I love these games with my whole heart. And it is very difficult to narrow it down to just 50 games. That's so crazy to me, but so many genres that I love. As you guys know, I mean, I love doing YouTube, but at the end of the day, playing games and enjoying them and experiencing them is something I crave and I'm always chasing after. So with that, let's get to number 50, Xenosaga. If ever there was a franchise that is so deserving of a remaster, a remake, a port, whatever you may have it, the Xenosaga trilogy is a masterpiece, with the exception of two. Xenosaga is just an incredible game. You get to meet Cosmos, you get to play this incredible battle system, you have this unimaginably complex narrative and sci-fi epic. It's got everything. It's one of the best PS2 games on the console, and the third entry, which might in fact show up on this list later, is just jaw-dropping. I recommend anyone who calls themselves a fan of the JRPG genre, the Xenosaga trilogy is a must-play. And 1 and 3 are just titans of the genre. Xenosaga 1 just has the warmest of places in my heart, and definitely check it out. Number 49, Ys Memories of Celceta. God, this is such an underrated entry and such an underrated JRPG series. The Ys series is just phenomenal. I was introduced to the series with Ys 8, Lacrimosa of Dana, if I'm pronouncing that right. Anyways, Memories of Celceta I played it on the PS Vita, and for me, it is one of my favorite action RPGs on the Vita. It's fantastic. The combat system is really smooth. It has that really nice interplay between, you choose a certain character for a different type of moveset and hit different weaknesses. It's excellent, very responsive. I love the island that it takes place on. The characters are really lovable for me. A lot of people can kind of call these surface level, or just kind of, I don't know, maybe like a AA experience. But for me personally, I think the Ys Memories of Celceta is top-notch gameplay. And honestly, it doesn't overstay its welcome at all. If I had any complaints about 8, it was that it was maybe about 5 to 10 hours too long to get the true ending. However, Memories of Celceta, you're at like that 28-hour mark. It's perfect. You get invested in the world. It's fun to explore. Definitely check this out. I know it's on Steam and Vita, and I'm sure it's elsewhere, but definitely, if you can get your hands on this one, it's a must play. Number 48, King's Quest VI. I'm going to be hitting all the genres I can. If you know me, I pretty much stick to JRPGs, action and turn-based RPGs, with the occasional Metroidvania thrown in there. However, the point-and-click genre has a very close place to my heart, very near and dear to me. I remember playing this on the old potato PC I had back in the 90s, and my dad getting me all set up to be able to play it. King's Quest VI is such a fairy tale. It's back when good guys were easily identifiable, and bad guys always had that kind of snidely whiplash mustache. It's just a wonderful experience. The childlike wonder in this game is just so endearing. Being able to just explore the lands of the Green Isles and meet these wild characters just stole and enraptured my heart. Here recently I shared how this game helped me through a pretty difficult time in my life, just taught me some important lessons. And to this day, there are just images from this game that just hit me right in the feels. I love it. The voice acting is unmatched for the 90s, in my opinion. Just an incredible, stellar cast. I mean, Sierra just really pulled out all stops on some of these just iconic point-and-click adventures. Really, if you're open to the genre and you've not had the absolute pleasure of playing a King's Quest game, I implore you to start with 6. It is the most iconic and probably the most beloved of the entire series. They have some loose connections to each other, but this was the first one I played. I didn't feel like I was missing anything by playing the previous entries. Definitely check this out. It's an incredible experience. Number 47, Diablo 2. Now, before Blizzard incurred my wrath and ire to where it just kind of poisoned the well with World of Warcraft and just kind of sucked all the wind out of my sails in terms of loving and cheering for that company with just the absolute dumpster fire that they have become. Back in the day, Diablo 2 was where it was at. Me and my brothers would hop up on our PCs, our potato PCs, and we would just, co-op through this game. I remember I played the Barbarian, the Paladin. I think my brother played a Necromancer, and my youngest brother played a Druid, and we had the time of our lives. Diablo 2 was just what really opened me up to the concept of cooperative play and kind of an online setting. Just being able to brave the hordes of evil from Diablo himself and conquer it together with my brothers. It holds one of the most nostalgic and precious of places in my heart. I cannot sing the praises of this game enough. It really did a lot to define the genre for me personally. I'm not extremely educated on kind of the isometric dungeon crawling genre. I know the original Diablo probably did more to actually pave the way for the genre, but for me personally, this was my entry point to it. The sound design, the character design, the different builds you can do. It's something to kind of help lay the groundwork to where I would eventually grow and love to appreciate the RPG number side of the genre and being able to build and gear yourself a certain way. It's carried on even today when I'm playing games like Elden Ring and you want to build around a certain weapon or a certain moveset. It really just defined part of my foundational love for RPGs in general, and I will always owe a lot to Diablo 2. Number 46, Trails of Cold Steel 2. For me personally, 2020 was a rough year for everybody, but if anything good came from it, it's I discovered the Legend of Heroes Trails of Cold Steel series. And I believe 2 is the pinnacle of that run for me. I thought that the gameplay mechanics were just in-depth enough, not overly complicated, nothing was slapped on. The ability to kind of build a momentum going from fight to fight was just a stellar experience. The open field arena design to fights was just so endearing. It was a blast. I loved all the characters, the dialogue, the free roam aspect. The first Trails of Cold Steel is a great game, but it does a lot of lore building and it does a lot of world building. And essentially what that ends up doing is, it can feel a little bit of a slog for me personally. It's very dialogue heavy, and that's okay. A lot of people love that and they want that in their game. However, for me, Trails of Cold Steel just has the benefit of riding off of the world building of 1, and you can just have an open map that were interesting and you get to spend more time with in 2. The combat system is one of my favorites in the turn-based genre. If you've seen my favorite turn-based battle systems in gaming, spoiler alert, Cold Steel 2 is on there. I think it's just an excellent game, and for connoisseurs of the JRPG genre, I think this is a must-play series. This is really kind of the magnum opus of turn-based combat for me and Falcom. I'm very excited to be getting into the 4th entry. I'm behind on it. There's been a lot coming out, but yes, Cold Steel 2, definitely check out the series as a whole, but that one's my favorite. 45. Gunstar Heroes. Oh my god, this game is so hard, but I freaking loved it. Me and my cousin played this game so much growing up, and it is tough as nails. This is just an incredible snapshot of what gaming was like for me in the late 90s. I remember my dad brought this home from Kmart on a whim, kind of surprised me. It was totally out of character for him to do that, but I was like, holy crap, this actually looks like a good game. No offense to my dad, but I remember one time he brought home a Pac-Man game that was like a point-and-click adventure, which I actually did really love, but not as fun as Gunstar Heroes. We'll just leave it at that. But me and my cousin played the crap out of this thing. It was friggin' awesome. We had an absolute blast with it, and to this day, this is still one of my favorite games on the Sega. Just an absolute blast, and definitely check out Gunstar Heroes if you haven't already. Number 44, Devil Survivor Overclocked. Look, I make it no secret that the SMT series and universe is some of my favorite games of all time, and it also applies to SRPGs as well. Though I still prefer Devil Survivor 2 over this, spoiler alert, it's on this list too, but Devil Survivor to me is one of the best entry points to the genre of SRPGs in general. It is a little tough, but with a wealth of resources online, this game's approachable for everyone. Just the ability to be able to fuse demons, build friendships and camaraderies with your friends and try to keep them alive. Your choices matter. The stakes are so high in this game, it is almost oppressive at times. This is definitely the darker of the Devil Survivor games. The second one is a little more lighthearted, not much, but a little bit. But I feel that the music in this is just really iconic too. It's just like really sick rock theme for the battle music. It's just underrated and overlooked in far too many ways. I'm excited to see Nocturne getting remastered. I'm excited to see Soul Hackers 2 is getting a sequel announced, but I am so hopeful that we'll get another entry in the Devil Survivor series and also modern day ports of Devil Survivor 1 and 2. These games are the top of the mountain when it comes to the strategic RPG genre for me. It is fantastic, and I definitely believe a must-play of anyone who is a fan of SMT. Number 43, Ys 8. Now this is just edging out Memories of Celceta to me, and for anyone who's a fan of Ys, they might be a little shocked by that, but again, I think the only bad thing about Ys 8 is it's just a little long. However, that said, the characters are top-notch. I freaking love everyone in this game. The island is fantastic to explore. I was mesmerized by it. The music in all of these games is top-notch, and honestly, Ys 8 just boasts an incredible soundtrack. The combat system is perfect in this. I think it is the prototype that all Ys games should follow. I'm so stoked to finally be getting to Ys 9. I'm a little behind, as you know. I'm freaking in love with Ys 8. For me personally, I think this is one of the perfect games to pick up for the Switch. It's just an amazing game to pick up and play here and there, explore. It is addictive, it is fun, and I love this game. A must-play for any RPG fan who owns a Switch. If you have a Vita, Switch, or Steam account, you have got to pick up Ys 8. Number 42, Xenogears. In the grand scheme of JRPGs, we all know they have very complicated storylines. Some of them shoot very high. They shoot for the moon, and sometimes they hit, sometimes they land amongst the stars, or sometimes there's just a failure to launch, and you have no idea what's going on with the story. Xenogears, to me, is one of the most incredible stories ever told in gaming. Xenogears is mind-boggling at times, and it truly feels larger than life. This game, even though the last 25 or 30% of it is unfinished, due to some unfortunate budgetary constraints and a release schedule and whatnot, that aside, this game is still stellar. It introduced me to this iconic and insanely fun battle system where you have a combo input in a turn-based game. Mech battles in this are a lot of fun, even though they can be kind of broken and cheesed easily. It's just so freaking cool, so fun. The characters are icons of the genre for me. For me personally, I think anyone who is just a fan of the PS2 era, for me personally, I think Xenogears is one of the all-time greats. I love that there are sprites in a 3D world. I almost feel like maybe even Final Fantasy VII visually would have aged better if it had kind of gone a Xenogears artistic route. Now, obviously, Final Fantasy VII, I freaking love that game. I think Xenogears is just an incredible game and definitely worth checking out. Number 41, Metroid Dread. Now, wrapping up this list in the 40s, we have the stellar Metroid Dread. Time may actually prove this game to go higher on the list for me, but I feel like this is a very solid spot for it to have. Metroid Dread is one of the best Metroidvanias ever made. There are some that I still love more because they have a kind of a more nostalgic place in my heart. However, Metroid Dread is balanced, it's fluid, it's mesmerizing to watch speedruns of this game. I've beaten it twice. I thought it was an absolute joy to play. Samus is back and cooler than ever. Fantastic. Now, this wraps up my first 10 games for my top 50. Now, next week, I'll be sharing numbers 40 through 31 and so forth until we get to my top 10. But again, this is just my list. I would love to know what your favorite games are down in the comments. If you want to share your top 50 with me as we go through this week to week, I would love to know what your 50 through 41 are down in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. Thanks for liking and subscribing, and I'll see you all next time.